I do want to recognize Commissioner Whitaker. I think she's a fellow commissioner. Are you somewhere here? She was here for a while. And obviously my boss, Governor Haslam, who gives me the opportunity to come here and not be in my office. And just if you might second, I would like for all of our TDOT employees to stand up, and if you would give them a round of recognition. Tokes is a previous employee because he took all of my time talking. And so, you know, I didn't know a moderator gave speeches, but I guess they do. Is that true, Toke? I think one thing that you know, and I'm going to ask some of you, at least the mayors here and some of the people, TDOT has really taken on a new sort of image, I think, and we're trying to be out in the communities as much as we can. And in fact, in the last 2 years, myself and some of my staff have been in all 95 counties in the state, trying to talk and touch and feel and listen and to be partners with local communities. And we've had bus tours, and we've had bus tours, and we've been in a lot of communities. I would like a show of hands if you all have ridden, the people who've in this room who've ridden on some of our bus tours. I would love to see that. That is a great turnout, and we're really excited about that. My speech has 4 phases in it, and we're going to talk about funding, we're going to talk about prioritization, we're going to talk about a new thing called EPD, and we're going to talk about OCT. So here we go. Funding, it sucks. And so we don't have enough money to do what we want to do, and I'm going to leave it at that. On prioritization, yes, we are, and we're doing the best that we can. And I've got it, and if you want to know more about that, I can tell you about that later. And I'm serious. And we've got a new program called EPD, and I'm going to show you a slide on EPD, and I'm going to talk a little bit about OCT, and then I'm going to sit down and you all can have a potty break because I need one as well. We're going to stop one time. This slide. Just want to show you that while our infrastructure is really in trouble across the nation, Tennessee has the 3rd best roads in the nation. And the one thing that you can thank the people that have come before me and hopefully will come after me, we do it without any debt. We have no transportation debt in the state of Tennessee. We are one of only 5 states in the nation that do that. And so yet we have the 3rd best roads in the nation and no debt. And the most important slide is the next one, which says we spend less money per capita than any state in the nation to have the 3rd best roads. And that means the reason being is we're not spending money for debt service, which goes into that formula. We're spending money on roads. So all of our money goes to roads, and that's why we have the 3rd best roads in the nation. And I'm proud to lead a department that does that. Now, there's prioritization. We're going to skip past that. This is one thing we're going to talk about. It's called expedited project delivery. And what this is we had a $10 billion backlog. We do have a $10 billion backlog. I've got $400 million of discretionary dollars to spend on that $10 billion backlog. Do the math. I can't ever get through that. So what we have decided to do is look at projects and figure out if there's a way for us to maybe cut down what we're going to do and do projects that can get out the door faster, that we won't spend as much money on that. And we started looking at a lot of projects. I'm going to give you an example of one project, and this will kind of tell you what we're doing. And I'm not going to tell you where this is because that's not important. But this is a project that we had on our books, and we have an estimated cost of $75 million to do this road. It's a giant 2-lane road with 12-foot shoulders. It's going through a rural area, a whole new alignment. Everything's great. $75 million to do that road. TDOT traditionally would start doing projects like that when the money was in place. And we've got lots of projects on our books that are just like this. And they add up to $10 billion. And that's a lot of money. But yet we were still working on it. So we talked to our staff, said, let's see if there's something that we can do that is not quite as expensive but can get some issue. What is the issue on this road? Well, there were some issues on safety, and we thought there's a way we could get around that. But look at the traffic count. 850 cars. So we're going to spend $75 million to satisfy a daily traffic count of 50 cars. We as a state can't do that because, as I said earlier, our funding sucks. So we have to do something else. We have to cut back. We have to look at what we're doing. We have gone through lots of projects, but what happens is this is an issue because if we do something like this, and there's a lot of these projects that we're looking at, it's not going to be this drastic. But some things have to do with maybe we need to straighten out a road. Maybe we need to change an intersection. Maybe we need to change just the curvature of the road. Maybe it's too hilly in one place. We don't need to build a $60 million road to solve that problem. We can solve that problem in those spot safety areas, and we can do it significantly less. And we are trying to do that, and we're going to have to do that. But the advantage of that for your communities is we can get into your communities faster. We can do the work quicker, and so your citizens can have the advantage of that work significantly before if we were trying to do something like this, because this would take a long time to get funded. You will hear a slogan called EPD. That's what we call it, Expedited Project Delivery. We are rolling it out. We are going to talk about it. You will hear it in communities. Some of you may not like exactly what we're doing, but what it allows us to do is do with what we can and provide safety and congestion mitigation as best we can with the dollars that we have. It's a great program, and if you look at it objectively, you will see that's the right thing for our department to do. Now, the next thing I want to talk about real quickly is the Office of Community Transportation. Last year, I actually watched my speech last year. In fact, let's do this. We could show that because that lasted 35 minutes, and so you all just go back and get it online, and you can watch my last year's speech, and this one was only last 5 minutes, and now the average amount will be perfect. In fact, I talked about some of this last year, so maybe I didn't even have to talk, Charles. I could have done OCT, Office of Community Transportation. And I have a pet peeve, and I'm going to show you what it is. You all have had issues like this, but what I discovered a lot of times working in this department, and I was on the other side of it when I was a mayor, is that communities oftentimes want the states to solve the problems that communities created by bad planning. It happens a lot. And here's an example, and then I'm going to sit down and shut. This is a school somewhere in Tennessee. And I've talked about schools. Now, what happens is I was on the school board for 12 years, so I understand what happens in schools. Rogers Anderson is a good friend, the mayor of Williamson County. He knows that funding schools is hard, and that oftentimes schools have trouble funding, and so what they do, they find the cheapest piece of land because they'd rather spend their dollars on bricks and mortar than on land. That makes perfectly good sense. And so what they do, they find the cheapest piece of land and they put a school. They put a mega school. They put high schools and middle schools and elementary schools. And you know what they don't think about? They don't think about transportation. All right, baby. I love an amen. You know, this used to be a place where they used to have church. We could have a few more amens out here. And so here's an example. This is a great school, beautiful, brand new school. And there is a major highway right there we go, right there. See that? That's a 4-lane divided highway, state highway, beautiful, been renovated, everything's great, except the school is on the other side of a railroad track that has little access and a 2-lane road that comes out on there, and there's the railroad track that goes through there. And the city says, you need to help us. We can't get our children in and out of our school system. You need to help us. And I said, well, now, I didn't make you build that school there. And why should the state have to bail you out of a bad decision? And we thought about that a lot within our organization. And we decided that what we might do and do best is create an office of planners. Tokes heads that up. An office of planners who is available in all of our regions, who come out and talk about in the early stages of planning in your communities what implication the project might have on transportation. And maybe we can talk about that, because oftentimes, here's an example, and you can take this school. I don't know, that land was probably free. Almost nothing, because it's worthless, because you can't get to it. Try to build a Sam's there and see what they would say. You know, they'd say no, because they can't get to it. And, but I'll tell you what would happen is that if the state had to go in, say you could buy another piece of land for what, farmland's $3,000 an acre, maybe a little bit less. Maybe you need, maybe you need 100 acres, so you spend $3 million for a piece of land. That fix would probably cost $10 or $15 million by the state. And I can give you lots of other examples across the state. And that's not fair for the other communities. The other communities, we have a finite amount of dollars. We have to spend our dollars wisely. So what we're going to try to do is get into communities early and talk about transportation issues and planning issues and give suggestions about how that can affect the long-range plan of a community and how it affects a transportation system within that community, because that's our transportation system. And it gives us the ability to get our feet on the ground early and give some ideas and give some suggestions. And I think in the long run, we'll all be better off because of that. So when you see our Office of Community, in fact, we have some here. Why don't our OCT people stand up, if you would? There's one in the back there. We got a couple. Where? Anyway, you'll see them. And please welcome them. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're not here to say you've got to do this. What we're here to say is we want to come and help you in planning. Planning, and it is so important that all of the agencies are involved in a development. You as mayors and you as city and county mayors need to know that what you do is not in a tunnel. It affects lots of people, and it affects the state. And you have to be aware of that. And it affects what you do, and it affects your community. And we want to be a part of that, and we want to be a part of it earlier rather than later. We don't want to come in after the fact. Because quite frankly, what we're going to probably end up having to do, because of our funding, we won't be able to solve the problem. We won't have the money to solve the problem. We're going to probably soon get to a point where all we can do is maintain what we have. Maintain our existing facilities. So new stuff is going to be almost impossible to do unless Congress changes how they fund stuff. And who thinks that will going to happen? Not me. So we've got to be prepared for the future. And that's a big part of what this office will do. Please welcome them. Please talk to them. Please be a part of the planning that we want to do with you to make sure that we can make your products and your developments and your cities the best that they can be for transportation. So I'm going to be quiet. Thank you all very much, and have a great visit.